But you know he's coming. And you know part of the reason why is to get back at everybody who tried to take him down. And you have to adjust accordingly. Part of winning the game is knowing the game you're playing.
Stephen A. Smith is incredibly successful, famous, rich, and an absolute coward.
The only thing that I would say as it pertains to Jimmy Kimmel was, where was the joke? Because you're a late night host. And obviously that has a comedic attachment to it. Where was the joke?
That was his response to Jimmy Kimmel being suspended by Disney after being threatened by the FCC.
I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or, there's going to be additional work for the FCC. Again, there's actions that we can take on licensed broadcasters. And frankly, I think that it's really sort of past time that a lot of these licensed broadcasters themselves push back on Comcast and Disney and say, listen, we are going to preempt. We are not going to run Kimmel anymore until you straighten this out, because we licensed broadcaster, are running the possibility of fines or license revocation from the FCC.
And that was in response to Jimmy Kimmel saying this during his show.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
This whole situation basically caused an eruption online. Kimmel said something that wasn't terrible or really offensive, but the right took offense to it, which led to the FCC threatening a corporation who needs their approval for a huge media merger, which then led to Kimmel being suspended and effectively fired, which raised alarms of censorship, of U.S. citizens not being allowed to speak freely or disagree without fear of retribution, without fear of losing jobs or their livelihoods.
Call them out. And hell, call their employer. We don't believe in political violence, but we do believe in civility. And there is no civility in the celebration of political assassination. Get involved. Get involved.
Because if this can be done to a famous, rich, white, late-night host in front of the whole world, what does it mean for anybody else?
Stephen Colbert is gone. Jimmy Kimmel is gone now. You need to see what is happening right now. It is the systematic destruction of free speech in this country. Understands the gravity of this moment. This is a moment for the country to mobilize. Because if you don't raise your voices right now about the assault on free speech, there may be no democracy to save a year from now. This is a red alert moment, man. It feels like the red alert has been on since January, but the days are getting darker.
And a person like Stephen A. Smith, whose whole livelihood depends on his ability to say whatever he wants, and to have the First Amendment protect his free speech, you would think he would use his platform to support free speech and warn against censorship. But he's done the complete opposite. He's positioned this whole situation like it's a season in Game of Thrones, where he's become Littlefinger that will say or do whatever he has to be on the winning side at the end. And everybody else just needs to duck their heads in the sand. It's sad, and it reminds me of a quote. All it takes for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. But I'm Jew. Welcome to the channel. Please like and share the video. Don't forget to sub. Now, let's get into it.
My only issue with Jimmy Kimmel and this whole brouhaha he finds himself inflamed with is not that, oh my God, you can't say a joke. I am incredibly alarmed by what appears to be our First Amendment rights being attacked. This is what I do for a living. I don't like that. But you know he's coming. And you know part of the reason why is to get back at everybody who tried to take him down. They didn't try to keep him out of the White House and that was it. They tried to throw him in prison. The man is coming. And you have to adjust accordingly. Nexstar has to adjust. All these broadcast corporations have to adjust. Madison Avenue has to adjust. Wall Street has to adjust. Corporate America has to adjust. China's had to adjust. Mexico has had to adjust. France, England, Germany, everybody has to make an adjustment. It's the real world. I don't like it. I'm alarmed by it. I'm scared of it. But I have to march forward. As do all of you. That's what I was saying about Jimmy Kimmel. That's what I'd say about Stephen Colbert or anybody else. Part of winning the game is knowing the game you're playing and adjusting accordingly to ensure that when all is said and done, you come out on top.
The fact that Stephen A. Smith went on air, went online, and discussed this whole situation like Lord Voldemort coming back to take revenge on everybody in Harry Potter that wasn't a Death Eater is insane. To be clear, Stephen A. Smith was telling his audience of millions that this is what reality is now. Get out of the way, protect yourself, put your head in the sand, do nothing, say nothing, and play whatever game you need to play to be on the winning side. That is despicable, that is sad, and it's terrible that he would use his platform to push that messaging. And that was actually his well thought out response after he got called out for his first response to the Jimmy Kimmel situation. And his audience wasn't even going for it. Hold up, do you understand the purpose of the First Amendment and the Constitution? No, absolutely not. I did not wear a uniform for 20 plus years for the Constitution to get shredded. No one has to adjust. Under the First Amendment, the federal government cannot lawfully compel or coerce private entities to censor free speech on its behalf. That's a direct violation of the First Amendment. I took an oath to defend the Constitution. You want to be a coward? Fine. Because I took that oath to protect your rights to be free and open, you coward, basically. Now, there is nuance to this situation because Jimmy Kimmel worked for a private company that suspended him. And private companies' contracts, they have the right to suspend or end a contract whenever they want for basically whatever reasons they see fit. However, you cannot ignore that a private company was pressured to do so. We saw the video.
I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way.
And Stephen A. Smith even acknowledged that. He acknowledged that it's alarming. And I think another point that he made, or at least tried to make, was that people are losing their jobs or at risk of losing their jobs for stuff that they say online. So maybe having a measured response or watching the things you say online are important, especially in this time and age. But at no point should you be a coward. And guess what? Nobody is obligated to say or do anything. During the civil rights movement, every person in America did not get out there and march, protest, or boycott. But I think it's super irresponsible to use your platform to demonize the people that are marching, that are boycotting, that are protesting, that are fighting for rights. And it makes you wonder, when MLK was organizing and marching for minorities to have the right to vote, would Stephen A. have been on the radio telling him to stand down and stay in the house? And to frame this all as a game that you're going to say or do whatever it takes to win by all means is just detestable for somebody that's in Stephen A.'s position, where you can actually influence and affect change if you wanted to, especially when there are people that are using their platforms to speak out for what they think is right or speak out against what they think is wrong. Charlie Kirk himself tweeted, "Hate speech does not exist legally in America. There's ugly speech, there's gross speech, there's evil speech. All of it is protected by the First Amendment. Keep America free." And I think this is also important to be aware of.
So here are the 7 authoritarian tactics. 1, you delegitimize the press. 2, you politicize the elite and the independent institutions. 3, you co-opt the military and the police. 4, you quash dissent by limiting what can be taught, said, and read. 5, you scapegoat the other. 6, you undermine elections. And 7, once in power, you rewrite the laws so that rules don't apply to you and you never have to leave.
And I think we've just also reached the crazy point in the timeline when Tucker Carlson is the voice of reason.
You hope that a year from now, the turmoil we're seeing in the aftermath of his murder won't be leveraged to bring hate speech laws to this country, because if they can tell you what to say, they're telling you what to think. There is nothing they can't do to you because they don't consider you human. They don't believe you have a soul. A human being with a soul, a free man, has a right to say what he believes.
And for anyone that's unaware, hasn't done their research, I would highly recommend you Google or ask ChatGPT about Germany in 1933 and 1934 and how change started to happen with media regarding movies, theater, film, radio. Because it's important to know. At the end of the day, I think what Stephen A. said is wrong, detestable, and cowardly. Again, you don't have to use your platform to speak out if you don't want to. But for a person with as big as a platform as he has, don't use your platform to demonize people for speaking out. And to warn everybody to keep their head down and become Littlefinger to try to win the Game of Thrones by saying or doing whatever you need to. But thanks for watching. Y'all let me know what you think about all this in the comments. Also, make sure you check out the next video. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram for behind the scenes and life stuff. And I'll catch you next time. Peace.